Hey everybody, I want to welcome you to our second series of Stay Strong and Lead Well. I am Jenna Minyard. I am the Chief Engagement Officer at the Montgomery Area Chamber of Commerce, and we're just so excited that you took time out of your day to be with us today. This is our first ever virtual event that comes from our Work Together Business Studio. So we're excited to bring you the second session. We obviously could not thank Tasha Scott anymore. She actually brought this idea to us a couple of weeks ago, right when we started what is our new normal is COVID-19. And we were just extremely excited to partner with her to bring you something just a little bit different. Before we get started, I do want to make just a couple of announcements with regard to operations and then just a few other things that the Chamber's been working on, just to kind of give you an update. We are working remotely. And we have been since March 17th, just like most of you. So a lot of us are managing things just a little bit different, and our new normal is a lot different than our old normal. I know some of you are having to manage households and families and schoolwork on top of managing your businesses and your companies and your employees. And we just want you to know that even though we are not at our location at 600 South Court Street, that your chamber is still a viable resource, and we are doing everything that we can to connect you to the people and the resources that you need to get through COVID-19. Just a couple other things, just a couple message notes. You know, leadership is a little different right now. We're all remote, and so sometimes that's hard. It's hard to lead a team when you're not in a physical space, but that's why we're excited to bring you this series. We believe that we're all in this together. I said that a lot on our previous call, and I'll probably say that a lot through all of the sessions. And I know you're hearing that a lot, but we really are all in this together. And if we can stay strong together, we will lead well. And if we stay strong through the crisis, then we'll be even stronger coming out of the crisis, which is great for our families, for Montgomery, for our companies and our businesses. And so, you know, we're just as anxious as you are to resume the normal or get back to the old way of doing things. And so we're just excited to have Tasha here, and we're just wanted you to know that we're right beside you. And if you need anything, we have resources on our website. Our staff directory is there. Any of our staff members can point you in the right direction and get you the resources that you need. We are also going to take some questions, and I'll be monitoring those through the chat. So if you have any questions, please provide those throughout the session, and Tasha will tell you in a second. She loves engagement, so she'll be asking some questions and just giving you some things to think about. So if you please would just consider responding back to us, that would be great. I do want to do just a quick bio for her before she gets started. Dedication to helping individuals and organizations maximize their potential. Tasha M. Scott is recognized as a prolific servant leader with an innate ability to target growth opportunities and build strong teams. The independent executive director for the John Maxwell team and certified DISC consultant is also the founder of Maximized Growth LLC and the 5-year-old Connected Women Win community. With a reputation that precedes her, this 3-time author is often found on stage addressing audiences as a professional speaker, leadership trainer, executive coach, and workshop facilitator. Although Tasha takes great pride in her professional endeavors, she sees being married to her husband, Morris, for 22 years and a mother to her teenage daughter, Mila, her greatest accomplishments. So we are just, like I said, honored and privileged to have Tasha Scott with us today, and we are going to start our second series of Stay Strong and Lead Well.
Jenna, thank you so much. And I want to say a huge welcome to everyone. Thank you for joining us. If this is your second time joining us, or if this is your first time, welcome. And Jenna's right, y'all. I absolutely love engagement. So use that chat box and just stay engaged. And again, we're going to have questions. if this is your first time joining us, this series started last week and we started with the clarity shift. And today we're focusing on communication and connection. And we have 3 more sessions, and these are the dates, and all of them will be at 12 o'clock. And rest assured, if you have to miss one, everybody will get a copy of the replay that registered. And the chamber has actually posted this on their website as well. So I am grateful for the partnership with the chamber. Thank you so much, Jenna. All right. So I have been loving these memes that we've been seeing, and I wanted to pull out a couple of ones just to lighten the mood a little bit before we dig in. So how many of y'all have seen this with the Brady Bunch? It says, so this was a Zoom call the whole time. They were actually ahead of their times. And what about this one? A lot of y'all, some are familiar with Zoom. Some of you, this is your introduction. And this is so funny because Zoom has the audio feature. So for everybody that doesn't have to be on camera, check out the left side. But then when we get on camera, you know, we've got to be our best. So I thought this was a cute picture as well. Again, just to lighten the mood a little bit before we dig in. So we started this series last week on Stay Strong, Lead Well. And I shared last week, I'll just give you a quick recap, that in order to stay strong, we first have to get to a place of honesty and acknowledge that we have times that we're afraid. We have times that we're weak. And when we acknowledge that, then the next step in the journey is to get strong. And in order to stay strong, we have to get honest, get strong, and then we can stay strong. And I broke strong down into this acronym of being steadfast, teachable, ready, optimistic, having a never give up attitude, and having a generous mindset. One thing we did last week also is we learned to take inventory of our lives, because the question that I asked was, who do you want to be on the other side of this? What do you want your reputation to say on the other side of COVID-19? How many of y'all, and indulge me for a minute in the chat, how many of you all actually did the SWOT analysis? Like after the call last week, you went and spent some time and dug a little deeper into your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats. Because, oh, I love it. Bonnie says, I did love it. So this again is just foundation for where we're going, because these next sessions are going to be all about leading well. And one of the things that I acknowledged is that we've got to stay strong so we can lead well from a place of strength. And at the end of this, it's my prayer, it's for me and you, that we're going to be stronger leaders. And everyone on this call, no matter if you work for yourself, as an independent contractor, if you are professional and maybe you work in a corporate job, or you are the owner of the business, everyone is a leader, because leadership is influence, and all of us have influence. And like I mentioned, we're going to talk today and these next 3 sessions about how to lead well from a place of strength. And we can't leave off that place of strength, because as we strengthen ourselves from the inside out, it is natural that we will be voices of hope. We will be a positive voice in our community and in our own businesses and families. Jenna mentioned that, you know, can't wait to get back to the normal or get back to what was. But can I just share that, y'all, we're going to have to all adjust to a new normal on the other side of this. And when opportunity presents itself, it's too late to prepare. This is our moment to prepare for the other side of this, because let's face it, we're all going to be different. Things are going to change. In fact, some of y'all are going to be embracing things like this, virtual meetings, virtual trainings. You're going to be embracing this even more for you or for your company. And so let's face it, we're all going to be adjusting to a new normal on the other side of this. So today we're going to talk about the communication shift. All of this was inspired by this book right here by John Maxwell called Leadership. I don't know if you can see this or not. It's called Leadership. John Maxwell is my mentor. And when I read this book, which was before COVID-19, and I revisited. I was like, man, this book was written for times like this. So when he talks about leadership, he's talking about shifts that are necessary for leaders to maximize their potential. And we're talking today about how to stay strong so you can lead well. And one of the things we have to acknowledge is that if we're going to lead well, all of us have one room in common, and that is the room for improvement when it comes to communication. I translate communication into connection. We need to adjust to a new normal in what communication looks like so that we can strengthen our connections. So I want you to lean in today. I want you to take notes. We're going to talk through what does it mean to be stronger in our communication? What does it mean to strengthen our connections? Because as an influencer, we have an opportunity to be part of the solution in the midst of all of this and be prepared on the other side. But we've got to focus on this shift. And there's several things that I want to share. And how do you do that? How do you lean in? How do you improve yourself when it comes to communication and connection? Well, one of the first things that I will say is we've got to have humility. And what I mean by that is we've got to let people know that we need them. You know, I shared last week when I went through a crisis of my own, how I suffered in silence and I let pride get in. And people used to think, wow, Tasha, you've got a business, you've been married, you've got all of this. And they used to call me Wonder Woman. And I used to cringe when I heard that label, Wonder Woman, because I would think I am not Wonder Woman. In fact, I asked my counselor, I said, why does everybody think that I always have it together? And you know what she said? She said, Tasha, have you told them anything different? That was an ouch. I learned from that I've got to let people know that I need them. I have to let people in. It doesn't matter that I am a leader. It doesn't matter that I am the business owner. It doesn't matter that people look up to me. I need to let them know that I need them. So that requires a little bit of humility and vulnerability, because when you can let people in, you can let people help. When you can let people in, you can let people connect. And that's a two-way street. John Maxwell says, at some point, your dreams should be so intimidating that you only have two choices: give up or get help. All of us were wired for connection. And in order for us to reach out for that help, we've got to have humility. And you can substitute the word dreams for, at some point, your business, at some point, your career, at some point, your life should be so intimidating that you have two choices: give up or get help. I don't know about you, but giving up is just not an option. So how do you ask for help, especially if you are the strong one? You're the one that everybody comes to for guidance, for help, for support. You're the one that everyone looks up to because maybe you're the boss. Maybe your track record has proven that you are a natural problem solver, or maybe you just make it look easy. But at some point, again, we're wired for connection. So we can continue to be that, but we've got to also learn how to receive it as well. So how do you do that, especially with the very people that you're leading? I always say that it takes a village. So maybe the people that you're helping, maybe they're not the ones that are going to be your support. Maybe they're not going to be your guidance. Maybe you need to surround yourself with a village of others so that you have your space. And so how do you do that? You acknowledge your shortcomings and your need for others. I need people. When is the last time that you said that? I need you. When is the last time that you told someone that? Be willing to ask for help. For some, that is just a step. For others, it's a mile. But at the end of the day, if we're going to shift and be the leader that we're called to be, we're going to have to not just be the one who gives the help, who gives the advice, the guidance, the support. We're also going to have to let people in and receive it as well. Another thing that we have to do in order to shift in this communication to grow is we have to be curious. And in order to do that, we've got to ask people questions. And when I mean be curious and interested in others. It's not enough just to surround ourselves with yes people. It's not enough just to surround ourselves with people that do as we say or are intimidated or even impressed with us. One way that you can be curious is be interested in others by asking them questions. It could be something as simple as you're sitting at a meeting, and nowadays all of us are meeting either on Zoom or by phone or email or instant message, but asking people the question, how are you? And taking time to listen to them. How's your family? Is there anything that I could help you with? These are all questions that you can ask of people. And listening is going to be down the list, but as we listen to their responses, we can also locate people. But then again, that's the reciprocal thing. When we're curious about others, guess what? Others will be curious about us. It may not be the same people, but when you give it, guess what? It's going to be given to you. Questions also help you to recognize opportunities. The communication shift is all about how to improve our communication so we can strengthen our connections. Did you know that sometimes we can meet people, or sometimes we are already in relationship with people, whether it's professionally or business? We're in relationships with people who their strength complements our weakness. Questions help you to recognize opportunities, but you've got to be curious enough to ask. But then that goes back to, you've got to have the humility to let them in. As leaders, we also must deal with our self-expectations, and we've got to deal with expectations to and from others. This helps us with those opportunities, because when we recognize the opportunities, we also have to work on the expectations part of that too. So the next one is effort. We've got to go out of our way to connect with people. We can't be the kind of leader that just assumes that everybody's going to come to us. I remember my counselor saying to me one time, again, when I was asking those questions, why does everybody think that I always have it together? Why does everybody think I'm always the strong one? And when she said that about, well, have you said anything different? The other part of that is, have you reached out? Have you made an effort? Have you gone out of your way to connect with people? It's amazing how times like this will tap into our creativity. So maybe it's not business as usual right now. What are some things that we can do to have an effort to reach out to people? The obvious one is pick up the phone and call them, or send them an instant message, or send them a text. But what if we made the effort to send somebody a handwritten note? What if we made the effort to, I don't know, you fill in the blanks, but what if we went out of our way to connect with people? And here's the thing, y'all. One of the things I want you to acknowledge is some of these people are people that you work with. Some of these people are people that you see week in and week out. And maybe it's time to go out of your way to connect with them on a different level. And again, it's something about times like this that our creativity gets to be exercised in what that looks like. And when you're talking about the communication shift, you have to ask yourself, can I look myself in the mirror and say that I actually did my best today? Did I do my best to reach out to people? Let me say this. You can't expect to maximize your potential as a leader if you don't like people. Can we just pause right there? If you're the type that maybe before this, we'll say pre-COVID, you've been the type to say, oh my gosh, people get on my nerves, or oh my God, or maybe you just ignore people altogether. Well, maybe it's time to reevaluate your efforts. Maybe it's not them, it's you. I can say that as a leader. I am you. We are one, right? But maybe it's time to ask ourselves, did I do my best? Did I even make an effort to connect and communicate? Because when you show that you care, what you're doing is you're expressing empathy. Especially my business owners that are listening today. And maybe you have a team of people that are supporting you in your business. When you express care for them and you show that you're empathetic towards them, guess what? They're going to want to dig in deeper. Maybe you are a professional and you lead a department, or maybe you are a community leader and you have volunteers that you rally around the vision for what you're doing. So maybe this time, where before pre-COVID, they were the ones pouring out. They were the ones that were showing up. They were the ones that were giving their time, their skills, their gifts. Maybe this was a time right now for you, while we're here on the way to where we're going, for you to now show that you care even more. And it could be something as simple, like I just said, about just reaching out and just checking on people. I love that I got calls during this time from the chamber, from multiple people. Bonnie, you were one of them, and I had some other people that called that really just expressed care. And the biggest part of the conversation was, I didn't want anything. I was just making sure you were okay. That does something to people. And so let's be the kind of leaders that we're not just expecting people to do that for us. If anything, we're turning up the volume and we're doing it more. Because on the other side of this, we're going to need those people and more. The other one is trustworthiness. Be someone that others can count on. One of the things that I do is I do a lot of training for organizations, and we talk a lot about communication. And we also talk about one of the reasons why there's an avoidance of conflict, or why there's a breakdown in communication. A lot of times it's right here. Sometimes the breakdown is because there's a lack of trust. And sometimes it's easier to look at others and say, well, if they would just do this, or if they would just, do that, then everything would be good. But what happens when we're pointing the fingers at others? The other fingers are pointing right back at us. And so this is something that we can ask ourselves. Am I trustworthy? Can my team count on me? Can my business count on me? Have I proven myself trustworthy? And only you can answer that question, and only you know what that looks like with your individual team. Even if you're an independent contractor on here and you say, well, I'm good, I work for myself, you're not exempt from this either, because as a business owner, as someone who provides services or products for others, can our customers count on us? Can our family count on us? This isn't just a compartmentalized thing, and it's only for people who are leaders or business owners that have large teams. This is for all of us. Can we be people that others can count on? And here's some areas that we can strengthen ourselves as leaders. So there's 3 different ones here. There's integrity. We can strengthen our integrity in our life. And integrity is, am I doing what I said I was going to do? Am I being who I said I was going to be? And this is a great time. There's power in pauses, y'all. We all have been given the gift of pause during this time. Yes, we're still working in different ways on Zoom, by phone call, by FaceTime. We're doing all those things, but this is a time right now where we can actually look at our foundations and see, where are the cracks? And so this is one where we can say, have I been a person of integrity in my life? Not just business, but life. Consistency in actions. Have I been consistent? Because those are the things that strengthen our character as a leader. And a character that's strengthened, integrity that's strengthened, helps when it comes to communicating and connecting with people. Competence when it comes to work. So maybe there's been some things pre-COVID that you said, you know what, I really need to improve in this area. I really need to improve this skill. I really need to improve this talent. And so when you take the time to improve, what that's translating that you care. When you take the time to improve you, what you're doing as a leader is you're saying to the people that look up to you, I care enough about you that I'm going to work on me. Because at the end of the day, I would hope that all of us would want to be leaders that people look up to, and also be the kind of leader that we lead by example. We can't expect anything from our team, our customers, our families that we're not willing to do ourselves. And so these are things just to ask ourselves about our trustworthiness. How strong am I? And if I'm not, what can I do to be strong in that area? The other one is generosity. Now, you saw this on the infographic that I did on Stay Strong, Lead Well, but I brought it up again because when it comes to the communication shift, generosity is everything. We have to be willing to give first. We have to be able to give continuously. And the most effective leaders are the ones who can give without keeping score. Can I give my time without keeping score? Can I give my talents without keeping score? And what does keeping score mean? Keeping score means, will I be the kind of leader that I'll only do enough if I see the people that are looking up to me, whether it's my team on my job, team in my business, team in my community? It can even spill over into family, y'all. Will I be the kind of leader that I will only do just enough? Or will I be the kind of leader that I'll just do my part, and then I will be kind of like the police, leadership police, and now I'm looking at what they're not doing. I'm here to tell you that that doesn't work. As a leader, the best thing that we can do is lead by example. And we have to have a generous mindset in order to be able to do that. And we talked last time about generosity is not always about money. It's not always about the raises that we can give people. Sometimes it's about the respect. Sometimes it's about the kindness, the smile. And sometimes it's not even about the people that are directly under us. If we can have this mindset consistently wherever we go, I guarantee you we'll be the kind of leader that not just puts our fist down and says, you're going to respect me. You're going to do this because I gave you this job or I gave you this opportunity. We're going to be the kind of leaders to say, not only am I going to open up a door for you, but I'm going to help you. John Maxwell says, I have never known a stingy person with a scarcity mindset who was able to connect well with other people. Being generous is all about having an abundance mindset, not a scarcity mindset. When we give generously with an abundance mentality, what we give away will multiply. It's a fact. It's a fact. That's why it's not healthy to have a scarcity mindset, because we limit opportunities. And all of this, y'all, is about staying strong so we can lead well. These books right here are the most powerful books for any influencer, any leader. The first one, the red one, I would recommend, like if you didn't get any other books, I would highly recommend The Go-Giver. This is a book by Bob Burg and John David Mann. It's a great listen on Audible. It's an easy read if you got the actual book. Has anybody actually read this book or have this book, or either read it or listened to it? This is a powerful book on everything that I'm talking about today. How to be that influencer that leads with value. How to be that person that's not just, I'm a go-getter. I'm going to hustle. I'm going to be the best. I'm going to be the biggest. This is about how to lead with value, so that it's not just about you, it's about everybody that you influence and come in contact with, especially when it comes to your business. Uduak said, I love it so much. Talina says, I downloaded it on Audible. Monette says, great books. Uduak says, it changed how I led in a meaningful way. Talina says, I started with the red one, but we'll get the blue one next. Debbie says yes. Yeah, y'all, this is a powerful book. And there's another one. It's a purple book. I think that's the latest one. And that one is The Go-Giver Influencer. But like I said, if you don't get any other one, this red book right here, I can't tell you how many times I have read it or listened to it. It really changed my mindset about how to position my business for success. And what I realized was that it started with me and how I value people at the end of the day. So the other one is listening. Listening opens the best door. Let me put emphasis on best. Listening opens the best door for connecting with people, because as a leader, if we're going to lead with value, if we're going to respect people, we're going to connect with people, the best thing we can do is listen. That's a gift that we can give people, is listen to them. Not try to be their hero, not try to fix them, but listen to them. In fact, for all of you on here where you have to sell a service or a product, whatever that looks like in your aspect of career or business, one of the things that I learned, and in fact, my husband, who's a salesman, taught me this, is that when you're trying to get your services or your products out there, the best thing you can do is listen to your prospects. They will tell you exactly what they need. They will tell you exactly what they want. This works with your teams as well. Again, I don't care if you're an independent contractor, you lead a department, you're a business owner, it all is the same. Listening is a powerful tool to connect with people. And even if you're an independent contractor, you still have people that work with you, whether you're contracting services or you're whatever, you still are in connection and communication with people. So listening is a powerful, powerful tool. And in fact, it's one of the fastest tools to help strengthen connections, because at the end of the day, when you give someone the gift of being heard, you've given them more than you will ever realize. John Maxwell, and again, a lot of these John Maxwell quotes are coming from the book Leadership. If you never listen, before long, the people around you will stop talking to you and you'll become isolated as a leader. Our job as leaders, it's not to dictate and direct people only. In fact, if you want to get the best out of people, lead with listening. They'll tell you where they are and what they need, and you'll be able to get more out of them. The next one is encouragement. Give people oxygen for their soul. We're in a time right now where this couldn't be more truer. People need encouragement right now. There's a lot of news going on. In fact, it comes on every single day about COVID-19, the coronavirus. I just found out somebody close to me, I found this out yesterday, actually was diagnosed with the coronavirus. People need encouragement. People are scared. People are anxious right now. They need encouragement. And we've been positioned strategically as business owners, as professionals, as influencers, as community leaders. We've been positioned strategically to be part of the solution, to bring encouragement to people. And just like it says here, it's like oxygen for the soul. And right now, this is our moment as leaders to not just be a leader in name only or title only. This is our moment to be the voice that people need to hear right now. Everyone in life could use the encouragement that only you can give, especially the people that you're leading. If you have a team, they need your encouragement right now. And here's the thing, they're not looking for your perfection. They're not looking for you to have all the answers. In fact, we're in a time right now where I don't really think many people know what to do. Even the top, like, people are figuring this out day by day. But there's something special about you being in the position that you're in, that your voice, your encouragement is going to be the very thing that they need right now. Encourage in a way that only you can. It doesn't have to look like the way I would encourage somebody or the way that somebody else would. They're looking for you. So one of the things that I talked about in the list was expectations. And I wanted to go back to this today, to really hone in on this expectations, because at the end of the day, if we're going to shift so that we can maximize our communication, so that we can strengthen our connections, we've got to address expectations here. So one of the things about expectations is, like I said in an earlier slide, we've got to learn how to manage our own expectations, but we also as leaders have to know how to manage expectations too that others have of us, but also the expectations that we have of others. One of the things that I do in my business, I've got a team of 5 ladies that work with me. One of them is virtual. That's my bookkeeper. She's in Florida, so she works virtually. But the other 4 ladies are right here in Montgomery. Before I recruited each one of them, I sat down and had an expectations conversation with them. Because one of the things that I'm doing, especially being in the John Maxwell team, is I'm learning how to shift and maximize my communication, how to strengthen my connections, and not just be the kind of leader where I'm expecting everybody to just do what I said, like I'm God's gift to the world or something. And really learning how to make this a mutual conversation. So I'm going to walk you through what I do with my own team when I'm sitting down with people. And this conversation, it actually can be had when somebody is new to your team, or it can be had when you are trying to strengthen a relationship. And again, I don't want to exclude my independent contractors or my solopreneurs here. You're not exempt from this because you still interact and deal with people. So, y'all ready for this? The first part of this conversation, and again, this is a one-on-one conversation that I have with my team members, and y'all, I have seen a huge difference. One of my team members, we've worked together before having this conversation, and now I can just tell you that our working relationship has shot up, and in fact, it's been golden for all of us, you know. And so this works. So again, we're talking about how to shift your communication so you can maximize and strengthen your connections. So the honesty expectations, this is the first part of the conversations. And I literally have this script in front of me when I'm talking with them. So I'll ask the question and I'll say, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being completely candid, how honest do you want me to be with you? And they'll answer the question, and they're allowed to share whatever that number is based on their personality, based on their filter. They're allowed to answer however they want to. The next part is, what does that mean to you? So if they say, I had one person say an 11, and my next part is, what does that mean to you? Give me an example of when someone was actually that honest with you. Okay. And then they've answered their part. And then I come in and say, well, for me, on a scale of 1 to 10, on behalf of this organization, or you could say on behalf of me, this is how honest I want you to be with me. And I'll just be honest, y'all, mine is always a 10 or an 11. That's just me. And I share with them, as a leader, this is what it means to me. This is just the first part of the conversation. Y'all, you could do this with your families. And this is only if you care enough to strengthen the connection, to strengthen the relationship. So the next part is win-lose expectations. So I ask, how does somebody win with you? There's no need in me guessing. There's no need in me trying to figure it out. Questions. Remember I said curiosity? Questions are powerful. So I allowed them the opportunity to be honest in this moment and tell me, how can I win with you? And then I share, here's how someone wins with me. And then we do the opposite. How does somebody lose with you? And then I share, how does somebody lose with me? Then we go deeper. Sensitive issues, expectations. If a sensitive issue should arise, how would you like me to address it with you? And one of my team members, we actually had to define, because sensitive could be one way for me, but it could be something totally different for somebody else. And that's really dependent on our personalities. So we first had to define what is a sensitive issue. And then we were able to acknowledge, if this arises, how do you want me to address it with you? Because my goal, y'all, is to maximize my communication so I can strengthen our connection. And the ultimate goal is so that we can have an awesome working relationship. But here's the honest part of that is we're not going to be able to avoid conflict. Conflict is inevitable. And some people avoid it altogether. But I'm here to tell you that if done right, it can actually be the very catalyst to strengthen the productivity within your organization, which ultimately translates into a successful business. And then I share, this is how I would like you to address sensitive issues with me. And you can change the wording of this based on your scenario. And then I say job description. Maybe for you, it's not a job. You're not hiring an employee. Maybe you're hiring a 1099 person where they're an independent contractor and they're doing subcontract work with you. Maybe you're just hiring somebody to do your social media and it's their business, but you still have to have this working relationship and communication with them. Or maybe it's somebody that's an intern or an apprentice, or maybe it's a coworker. You get to decide. So this, again, you can change the wording on this, but when it comes to the role or the assignment, what excites you the most? And I love asking this question because I want to know, what is it that's going to make them want to show up every day? You know, now there's granted parts of the role that are not going to be as glamorous as others, but y'all, imagine somebody asking this of you. And then I ask them, I leave it open, do you have any additional thoughts or concerns? And then standards. Here are the standards that you must meet and perform in your role, your job. This is the standards that I'm expecting. What are your thoughts and concerns? So that way we're setting people up for success. We're setting people up. So should things not be up to standard, should they not be up to expectations, what I like to do is always keep this on file and we can go back to this. This is good when you're doing reviews with people, or again, maybe you're in a strained working relationship with a coworker, with a boss, or with a supporting team member, and you've been scratching your head trying to figure out, how do I maximize my communication with them? These are just examples of a scenario that I actually do myself. And then accountability expectations. Accountability is a very important aspect of working here. That's a core value for me. So here's how you'll be held accountable and why. So that way, when stuff comes up, y'all, again, I'm not picking, I'm not nitpicking, I'm not trying to single anybody out. This is me saying, I want to help you succeed. I want to hold you accountable. And here's how and why. And then I give them the opportunity to share their thoughts and their concerns. And this again is ways that I'm strengthening my connections. I'm maximizing my communication. I'm not just assuming anything. And y'all, like I said before, during this time of COVID-19, where we're all in our separate places, some are still going to work and some are working at home. Some have always been working at home. But these are examples of things that you can do now to strengthen yourself so that you can strengthen your team, so that at the end of this, or on the other side of this, you'll be that much more closer to the productivity level that you want. You'll be that much closer to the business momentum in your organization or in your own personal business. And we have an opportunity like never before to be the bridge. A leader leads by example. And so if you are on this call or maybe you're good, maybe your team is like rock solid and y'all don't have any issues. So if that's you, cool. Maybe you can teach us some stuff. But for most of us, there is room for improvement. And so what we need to do is we need to go mining for the strengths, mining for the opportunities right now and what that looks like. And being the leader means we can be the bridge between where we were and where we're going. And our team is not looking at us for perfection. Like I mentioned, they're not looking at us to have it all together. If anything, these are things that we can be doing with them now, so that we're letting them know, hey, we might be here. This might be the location that we're at on this part of the bridge, but this is where we're going. And these are things that we're going to do to get there. And these are things that I mentioned in all of this, that we can get stronger in our communication and our connection, because there is another side of this. This won't always be where we are. And so we've been given an opportunity, and somebody, and I can't remember who said it, but when opportunity presents itself, it's too late to prepare. This is our time of preparation because we've been given the power of pause right now. So I want to turn it over to Jenna right now and open it up for any questions or any ahas in what I shared today.
Anybody have any thoughts or questions for Tasha or about the session? One of the things I did write down, I took a lot of notes today, is lead with listening, manage expectations. And if you do that, you'll strengthen yourself and you'll be able to lead better. Amen. That is great advice.
Yes. Yes. Was there any one of the points that I shared that stood out to you, to anyone more than the others? You know, because I like to say everything's not broken. There's some things that we're doing right, and we need to just keep doing those things. But then there might be some other areas where we say, you know what, that's me right there. That one right there. It could be the listening. It could be the humility of maybe you've been so good and so strong. Maybe now it's just letting people know that you need them.
Looks like Heather said it's managing the expectations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Had anybody ever seen that conversation before? The expectations? You haven't? Jenna, what do you think would happen if we all in our workplaces and our businesses would actually have those conversations more up front?
Oh my gosh, it would be a totally different world.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it all leads with the humility. It takes humility and vulnerability in order for that to happen. I see some other people on here chiming in. Uduak says, I love the guidelines about how to have conversations about expectations. Yeah. And no shame. I literally have that printed out as a script when I'm talking to my team, and I'm taking notes because I'm listening to what they're saying, because I know should we have to have a conversation down the road, I want to go back to this, and I'm asking them to take notes too, because it's a mutual conversation. Sandra says, I liked how thorough you were with the points you review with your team. Would you please review what you said at the end about the power of pause? Yes. What I meant by that phrase was the power of pause. Like right now, everything is kind of slowed down for us in our world. Most people are at home. The kids are homeschooled now. Restaurants are the restaurants are open, the ones that are, but it's not like it was. We can't go sit in a restaurant. We can't do certain things. And so the pause is the slowing of the pace that we were all used to. And instead of looking at it as a bad thing, I like to flip it and say glass half full, and that there's power in that, because had we not been forced to pause, would we have an opportunity to self-reflect? Would we have an opportunity to seal those cracks in our foundation? Or given an opportunity of time right now, and I'm busy right now, I know, with business, but it's not business as usual. Mm-hmm. So I hope that helped, Sandra. Monette says, generosity is not just about money, it's about giving me, being vulnerable. Yes, giving our time. That's one of the reasons, Jenna, why I reached out to the chamber, because for me, I said, I can't sit quiet right now. I can't sit still in the midst of what's happening. Like, I've got to do something. And I'm not saying doing something to the point where I'm burning myself out, but if I don't have anything else, I have gifts, talent, skills that I want to contribute. And right now, that's what I'm doing. So coronavirus, COVID-19, whatever is happening right now, it won't stop me, my purpose. It won't silence who I'm supposed to be, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. And we're grateful for that. That's your servant leadership. And so we just appreciate you, like I said, reaching out and giving us the opportunity to share this with our members and the community.
Thank you. Thank you. I see a couple of more. Ashley says, I love the expectations exercise. I am thinking about having these conversations with some colleagues now. And I'd be happy to, when I send the replay out, I'll send the PDF document of that expectations conversations. It's golden. Talina says, honest conversations and expectations. Kimberly says, asking for help and needing others. Kimberly, that's, like I said, for some, it's a step. For others, it's a mile, but it's definitely necessary. Uduak says, just thinking about the authors I have worked with in my publishing company and how it would have created a greater connection with them if I used those guidelines with them. And I can keep reading. You just stop me anytime, Jenna. Okay. Ashley says, I also love the reminder to listen. So often we can grow our businesses or build relationships if we just stop and listen to our clients or friends/family pain points. Yeah. Trent Bailey says, thank you. You're welcome, Trent. Sandra says, I love that you don't apologize for your guidelines, that it's just who you are, your own needs, honesty that opens for it to be there for the whole team. Yeah. And that's one of my core values is honesty. In fact, when I answered for myself, how do you lose with me? For me, I trust people that I can have conflict with. I know for some, they're like, I don't like conflict. I don't, but for me, it just shows me that you care enough to confront. And conflict doesn't have to be bad. It doesn't have to be the yelling or the rolling of the neck or the eyes. It doesn't have to be any of that. It's just that we agree to disagree. And I respect that. And that is an automatic win for me because I need people to cover my weaknesses, Robin says, good to acknowledge your shortcomings and asking for help. I think this is Jindy says, I love your idea of a script to talk with your team. We don't have time to write our script in normal circumstances, so it's a great time to reflect on these. Alicia says, preparing for a new way of life that is being nurtured during the power of pause. And Debbie says, great session. Thank you. You're welcome, Debbie. I appreciate y'all's feedback. This it's really, really good.
Before we wrap up, I'm going to ask you just one last question. So if you're thinking about the session today, what would your final thought, suggestion be to the listeners?
Take advantage of this time like never before to do the work, the internal work on you. We are leaders. We are needed. Even before all of this and after this, we're going to be needed. But I would say take the time to strengthen yourself from the inside out and do whatever that looks like for you personally. For some, it might mean resting. Mm-hmm. And rest might be a loaded word for others because your body can be still, but your mind can still be going. So I would say do the work on yourself. And sometimes we have to have that self-talk where we're asking ourselves the honest questions, but we're also answering, what do I want and what do I need during this time? And letting people in to help you.
Well, great advice. That was good. Did you prepare that?
I didn't. I believe that with all my heart. Because that's what I'm doing.
I need to pause more. I wish my mind would shut down so that I could, but it is what it is. Before we close, Tasha has put up the next couple of sessions. And so we will have one on Thursday, which is the 16th, and then next Tuesday, the 21st. I am actually not going to be available those days, but I am turning over the facilitating role to Cedric Varner. I know a lot of you who are on the call today know Cedric very well. He is awesome. He's on our team. He's serving right now as the Director of Minority Business and Outreach, and he's been at the chamber for a while, but he's been in this community for a very long time. And so he is going to facilitate the next two calls, and then I'll be back on the 23rd. But just to wrap up, I just wanted everybody to just know that, like I said earlier, the chamber is here for you. Even though we're remote working, our mission has not changed. And like I said last week, I actually think that it's gotten stronger. We are listening to the business community more. We're having more outreach calls. We have taken a pause with regard to programming and events, but it's because that's what we needed to do. And right now we are getting you, the community, the small businesses and the entrepreneurs, the critical resources you need to get through COVID-19. So like I said earlier, we have created a website. It's montgomerychamber.com/COVID/19. And then we are also updating our membership twice a week with regard to newsletters. And so if you are getting those, that's great. If you've got some people in your company who are not, please let me know. And then if there are some people on the call today who aren't members and still want to receive that, you can actually sign up for that newsletter on our homepage at montgomerychamber.com. So I just want to thank you again for bringing this session to us. Like I said, it's a breath of fresh air. And it's something that we all can do right now as we pause in this moment to just lead stronger and just be stronger, especially when we come out on the other end. We're as anxious as everyone else to do that. Yeah. I'm ready to see my friends at work. I'm ready to go back to a regular schedule. Yeah. So I think all of us are. And so it'll be interesting to see what happens over the next couple of weeks. But we are going to continue to connect and engage like we always do. We're actually working on some additional programming that's going to launch in the next couple of weeks that we're really excited to bring. And so just look for that. We'll have all of those events in our newsletters and our communications, but also on our calendar. We are highlighting a lot of the webinars and a lot of the calls that we're doing, but that outside organizations and associations are doing as well. So if we know about it, it is on the Chamber's calendar on our website. So again, Tasha, thank you so much. I'm excited about the next couple of sessions, and I hope that our participants are too.
Yes, thank you so much. Again, I appreciate the Chamber for saying yes and embracing the partnership, because that's the power of connection.
That's exactly right. The power of connections. That's what we do very well. So awesome. Well, I hope everyone has a great rest of the day. Again, thank you for taking time out of your busy days. I know that the work-life balance is a little difficult right now. We're all juggling it, and the struggle is real. So thank you so much, and we will hear from you and see you again on Thursday.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.